My name is Antonio, and this is the All Around Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are going over a variety of topics around the NHL, NBA, and also along with the NFL. For the NHL, we're going to be going over the Vegas Golden Knights. What chances do they have at the Stanley Cup? We're going to be going over that. And then also, the New York Knicks, currently on a 9-game win streak. We're going to be going over that too. What chance do they have against the Lakers if they do get a win? We're going to be going over that. Also, Milwaukee jumping down to number 2 in the East after their loss, after being beat down by a few teams. But what chance do the Milwaukee Bucks have at the NBA title? We're going to be going over that. And then also, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics coming off a big loss to the Los Angeles Lakers without LeBron or AD. And was that loss concerning? We're going to be going over that. And then the Clippers looking to rise up from the ashes after a few years. But can Kawhi Leonard lead this team to victory in the postseason? We're going to be going over that. And then one of the 2 surprises of the season, the Oklahoma City Thunder, which should have been renamed to Seattle Supersonics, but they're currently second in the West. What chances do they have at winning the title? We're going to be going over that. And then also the NFL. We're going to be going over the Super Bowl matchup, what the keys are for each of the sides. We're going to be going over that. And then the Bears, coming off of a big season, even though they didn't make the playoffs, it was a lot of bright stuff to look at. We're going to be going over that. And then the Bills once again have a heart-shattering loss in the postseason to the words wide right. Most cursed word in Buffalo. And then the Cowboys, after getting embarrassed by the Green Bay Packers in the postseason, Micah Parsons made some comments. We're going to be going over that. And then the Seattle Seahawks, my team, hired Mike McDonald as the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. But what does that mean for the Seattle Seahawks as a whole? We're going to be going over that. And then, expectations on the Green Bay Packers. What expectations are we going to have? And what expectations should we have next season? We're going to be going over that. And then, the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers will be back next year, but is there high expectations for this team? We're going to be going over that. And then we're also going to be going over the Houston Texans. What chances do they have at the Super Bowl next year? And then we're going to be topping it off with one of the West teams other than Kansas City with the Raiders. Seeing what chance they have against the Chiefs in the West battle next year. So for now, let's get this thing started. First thing starting us off is the Vegas Golden Knights. Currently on a bad streak. They currently hold the second place in the West, right behind the Canucks, which is surprisingly they're doing well. And also along with the Kraken trailing behind a few places. And then also with, I'm sorry guys, I'm just writing down on my little sheet here. So they're currently, let me look at the stats here, the standings. So I took images of the standings of the Western Conference for the NHL. Currently the standings for that division is the Canucks currently have the number 1 place spot. The Golden Knights hold the second place spot, then the Oilers, then the Kings, then the Kraken, then the Flames, and then the Ducks, and then the Sharks. But the question is, are the Golden Knights still Stanley Cup contenders? I personally believe they still are, because they're defending champions. You got Jack Eichel, you got Mark Stone, Jonathan Marchessault. You got so many guys on this team that can make plays. And one of the keys on the losses has been the goaltending group. Logan Thompson has been covering in for Adin Hill since he was injured for a few weeks, but now he's supposedly back. But we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But for right now, that is the only topic I have for the NHL. But moving things down to the NBA, the New York Knicks on a 9-game winning streak, and they are about to go against the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday night. So that is going to be interesting. Currently, they hold the third place spot of the East, right behind Boston and Milwaukee. And then currently below them are the Cavaliers, the Sixers, the Pacers, the Heat, and the Magic. Currently in playoff contention. But are the New York Knicks a threat in the East? I believe they could personally be, because the New York Knicks are amazing with Jalen Brunson. They are really good with Jalen Brunson. They are just doing so well. They are doing amazing. But this team has the talent to get there. This team has the talent, and if they can maybe trade one of their 4 picks or something, maybe you go after LeBron since he's not doing so smooth in Los Angeles. Maybe you go after him because you can trade away your 4 first-round picks and get him. So, this team has probably the best team we've seen in a few years. We know Stephen A is pretty hyped about this, along with other New York Knicks fans. Which, it's good to be excited, but you gotta show up in the playoffs. You gotta show up in the postseason. Which you're looking to maybe go against the 76ers, looking to go against Milwaukee, Boston, Indiana, which I believe has been a surprise to some people, the Indiana Pacers. But this Knicks team is gonna be a threat. But moving things down over to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks have had a lot of time. They currently hold the second place spot in the East, but have not done so well under the new head coach Doc Rivers after firing Adrian Graham. But the question is, was this a good move by the Milwaukee Bucks of firing their head coach and moving into Doc Rivers? I think it was a bad move because you look at this Patrick Graham guy, Adrian Graham guy. He has looked amazing as a head coach, and the players wanted him out. They were dancing all over the court when he was gone. That I believe was an embarrassment to the Milwaukee Bucks. That was an embarrassment. But this team has a lot of potential. You got Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you got Chris Middleton. You got so many guys on this team that can make plays. You just need to use them right. So, if the Bucks can get into the playoffs, which we all are assuming they might, they need to show up when it gets into the playoffs. But moving things down the board to the current number 1 team of the Boston Celtics, number 1 team of the East, which is the Boston Celtics. The Celtics have been was embarrassed by the LeBron and AD-less Lakers last night. But the question is this a concern for this Celtics team? I believe it could be. It's very concerning. Because the only guy that was leading them was Austin Reeves. And that is unexcusable to lose in Boston, which is your 3rd loss at home. And now you're looking at the East, maybe potentially trying to rise to get to that number 1 spot. You got Milwaukee, you got the New York Knicks, you got so many teams out there that are up for grab, that are coming for that number 1 title. We all know that Joel Embiid is currently injured right now after having the hyperextension against my Golden State Warriors right here. Against my Golden State Warriors. But, I mean, the Celtics have the talent to get there. They did go to the NBA Finals under Ime Udoka, which he's not gotten to that. I don't think Ime Udoka is with the team anymore. So, and you're doing this bad loss against the Lakers, your long-time hated rival for years, and you get beat out by them without LeBron and without Anthony Davis, which if that's a loss, that is very concerning to me. If I am a Clippers fan, if I'm a Celtics fan. Now, moving things down over to the Clippers. the Clippers have looked really good as of the season going. But let me see what setting they're in right now for the standings. So, hold on just a second, guys. So, currently in the West, they hold the number 3 spot like the Knicks, and then they're right behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, which we'll be getting to in a minute. And then also we got the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, and then the Kings, the Suns, Pelicans, Mavericks, and then loads of teams on the other end of that list. But the question is, can the Clippers go to the NBA Finals on a healthy roster? I believe they can, because you look around this team, you got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, you got James Harden, who's actually performing now, and you got Russell Westbrook. You got so many talented guys on this team, including that Terrence Mann guy, who he is really good as well. He's probably their secret weapon, if you ask me. But, I mean, this could be probably a best chance for the Clippers. We all know the defending champion Nuggets are going to be back in the division race. They're going to be back looking to try to get to the NBA Finals again. Which my early NBA Finals prediction is Nuggets and Celtics. Because I believe the Celtics are going to get there regardless of what they have to go in the East. And then the Nuggets, you just look at them as one of the tough youngest teams. And they're just so good. And the Clippers, I mean, I'm thinking they're going to make the playoffs, but they need to prove they can beat the defending champion Nuggets if they're going to get any far. And then you got one of the 2 surprise teams in the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have actually been really good. They currently hold the number 2 spots in the West, which they are looking pretty good. I mean, but the question is, are the Thunder a sleeper threat in the NBA West? I think they could be, because you look around at this team, you got Alexander, the number 2 guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name entirely, but you also have Chet Holmgren, who is a Gonzaga player, who he is really good. He is really talented, and now that he's back for this year. Now we're looking at this guy as probably a threat, maybe winning Rookie of the Year, which he is right there with Tyrese Haliburton of the Pacers. But that 65 game rule is now kicked into place, which I personally believe is a good thing, because the fans always go there to see their star players, not to watch other backups. They go there to watch their players play. But the Thunder, I think, are going to be a little sleeper threat in this little stretch. And then moving things over to the number 1 team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves coming out of nowhere, where we thought that they were we were expecting them to be the last place team. All of a sudden, you got them coming out to number 1, which being led by Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and loads of other guys on this team. But the question is the Timberwolves a real threat? I think they could be, because the Oklahoma City Thunder the Minnesota Timberwolves are really stacked. They are really stacked, and they have that talent around them. And they can show what they can really do. And I personally believe that this team is going to be a threat. And if they do go against the Nuggets, we will see in that rematch, because last time they met the Nuggets in the playoffs, they got swept. But we'll see what happens coming around this time. But watch out for Minnesota. I'm just going to say that. But now shifting things over to one of my favorite sports, the NFL. The Super Bowl between Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs going against... Sorry, I'm a little tired. Going against Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Which the 49ers are the slight favorite by 2. But the question is, who do I see winning this Super Bowl and why? I'm gonna go with Kansas City because you got loads of guys on the Niners team who are inexperienced. I mean, I get Bosa and some of the other guys are on that roster are experienced in that level and have gone against this Kansas City team before. But Purdy is not. Purdy, he is not good. He's not an elite quarterback. Brock Purdy, he's not elite. And he's just elite because of the weapons around him. You look at him and you look at his weapons. You got Christian McCaffrey, you got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and also loads of others. In fact, I made a list of the top 10 quarterbacks that I have ahead of Brock Purdy, which I'm going to explain that now. As soon as this gets down there. There we go. So the quarterbacks I have ahead of Brock Purdy as far as talent-wise goes, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and Matthew Stafford. That's the list of quarterbacks that I have ahead of Brock Purdy, and because Purdy's not proven anything. He's sure he got comeback win from behind, but coming from behind is not going to work well against Kansas City. They're known for being in the lead. Just look at their last game against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They stomped them. They only allowed 10 points. They only allowed them to 10 points, and then Kansas City was allowed 17. Which this Kansas City team is more experienced. They've been to 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Meanwhile, the Niners have been there twice in the last 4 years. Both of them, 4 and 2, coming in this year's Super Bowl. But Purdy, I have said it on a variety of occasions. He is not an elite quarterback. He is inexperienced in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, my hometown, by the way, which is not a really good setting for him. We know there's lots of Kansas City Chiefs fans in that stadium. And because they're arch rival, the Raiders live there. And then also you got Niners. They travel very well. It's going to be a battle. I truly believe it's going to be a battle. But I don't see Purdy pulling it off. I want him to, just to end the drought of the Niners. But at the same time, I can't see it against one of the toughest teams around in Kansas City. You're looking at them like maybe the new Thanos, which is the snap. Which in during one of the plays that I caught that I saw from Purdy, I was like on that catch to Ayuk, I was pretty much like this. Yeah, pretty much I was like that because I was so amazed. He got lucky on that catch. That was almost an interception. He nearly threw almost 3 interceptions that game. He was throwing it dangerously, and he would have paid the price if he was going to. And the fact is, you're going against the number 2 ranked defense in the National Football League. You are going, and you win against the bottom 20 defenses in Green Bay and Detroit, which that is not going to work well against the number 2 ranked defense. Now, I get you have the weapons. I get that. But what I'm saying to y'all is the Chiefs are better. The Chiefs have the better experience both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And like the old saying goes, you got to beat the man to be the man. So, that I just don't see Purdy going through with it. But now moving things down the board to the Chicago Bears. The Bears looking really good after their defeat against the Packers in the season finale, which clinched the Packers' playoff berth. Which the question is, should the Bears draft Caleb Williams, or should they stay with Justin Fields? I have gone back and forth on this, and I've watched highlights with him with the Bears. This guy, I've said on a variety of occasions, this guy is only a Brock Bowers or a Marvin Harrison Jr. away. Brock Bowers or Marvin Harrison Jr. away. And you look at this Bear squad, you got so much talent around them. And if you can improve on his stats, you can really have a dangerous quarterback. And the thing with Justin Fields is he's really good. He has potential. The potential is there. He can run out this slant route and escape. But Caleb Williams, he can do that too, but he can pass deep. Which him and the USC Trojans did not have a great season this past year. Excuse me. But the fact is, that Fields is only a Brock Bowers or Marvin Harrison Jr. away. That is what I pretty much think about this Chicago Bears man. This is what I think about him. And then moving on to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills currently they got knocked off against Kansas City in the divisional round showdown on the Words Wide Right, which is the most cursed word in Buffalo, which not a lot of Buffalo fans like to hear that word. But the question is the Bills' Super Bowl window closing? I think their window is closing because they were in the AFC Championship a few years ago. They were in the AFC Championship. And now you are looking at this Bills team. They just can't do it. They can't finish it in Buffalo against Kansas City. And they can't even do it in Arrowhead. Buffalo their window's closing. And I believe their window might be closed because you look around the AFC, you got Kansas City, Cincinnati, Baltimore, you got Cleveland, you got Houston, Jacksonville. I mean, the list goes on and on with this loads of teams, other than their division rivals. But the fact of the matter is, the Bills' window is closing, and if they can't come back with it next year, they're not gonna be in the Super Bowl until like 2034. But now shifting things over to the New York Jets. The Jets had another embarrassment of a season without Aaron Rodgers, with him getting hurt in the first 4 snaps against the Buffalo Bills in Week 1. But the question is, should we expect anything from the New York Jets going into next season? I don't think we should, because Aaron Rodgers, we know he's the bad man. We know he's the bad man who has owned the Bears, who still owns them to this day. But the fact is, the receiver core and the defense is just not going to cut it. Their O-line sucks. They're trash. They almost led the league in sacks allowed. And their O-line is not getting any better. And their O-line is just not good enough. And Aaron Rodgers made this a specific task for the O-line to get better. And the fact is, their O-line is absolute trash. And their O-line is just not good. And if they go into next season, we know they're going to be Super Bowl favorites. But I don't see them getting that far. Because the Jets are just so terrible on offense. The receiver core is there, but the defense is not there either. But the offensive line is the main key. They struggled. And that's what I personally believe, that the Jets are actually not that great of a team. So now shifting things over to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders currently, I believe they're probably going to maybe draft a quarterback, but Antonio Pierce is a good coach. And we've seen him as a great head coach. And the question is, are the Raiders a sleeper team in the AFC for next season? I believe they could be. Because Aiden O'Connell, I've gone back and forth on this guy. I've seen his talent at Purdue. and his talent's there. And if they can build around him, he could probably be one of their top guys on this team. And you look around in their weapon room, you got Michael Mayers, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow. You just got so many guys on this team. And then you got the defense, who is actually top 10 in scoring defense for the first time since 2002, which was the last time they made a Super Bowl appearance. But I think this Raiders team is going to be a sleeper next season. For those of you just joining us, we went over the NBA. We went over the Knicks, Bucks, Celtics, Clippers, and others. So I'm ask you for bets. Let me do them here and there. Hold on just a minute, guys. Man. Let me see if I can pull that out. I'm gonna ask you questions for my bets. Going for bets, my man. And if you do have any questions for me throughout the live stream, we're going to be going over topics. Let me know if who you guys have questions for. Who you want me to go over. I go over NBA, NHL, and NFL. So I think that the Raiders are an AFC sleeper team. But now shifting things over to the Houston Texans. The Texans coming off of a big win against the Browns in the wild card, but then got beat out in the divisional round to the Ravens. But the question, before we get into that, Mahomes over or under for passing TDs? I'm gonna go with the over here because the over. I mean, Mahomes is going against probably one of the weakest secondaries of the Niners, and they gave it up. So, and if they can run that ball, they can really have the chance. But I can see Mahomes throwing for at least 2 touchdown passes in this game. But back to the Texans real quick. The question is, are the Texans a legit threat for the AFC next season? I mean, they could be. I mean, I for sure think that they are because this Texan. I'll get to that in just a minute, Garson Gamers. I believe this team has the talent around them because they are just amazing. CJ Stroud came out of nowhere for this team. This came out of nowhere. And the fact of the matter that this guy came out of rookie class, out of Ohio State a year ago, and just absolutely led this team to the playoffs, it's just unbelievable on what this guy has done. It's unbelievable. So the Texans are going to be a threat in the AFC as far as next year goes. But back to that comment I got. So let's see. So Pacheco over 0.5 rushing touchdowns. I would probably give him at least 1 rushing touchdown in this game because the Niners, they struggled against the run last week against the Detroit Lions. You had Jahmyr Gibbs running all over you. You had David Montgomery running all over you, which I believe if the Chiefs can run the ball right down their throat, I believe they can actually win this game. But shifting things over to probably America's biggest joke, the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons, after 2 weeks after the embarrassment of a loss to the Green Bay Packers, said on his podcast I believe it was his podcast that he said this. He said that they go all in to this team. So I'll get to that again in a minute, Garson Gamers. But the question is, do I agree with Michael Parsons' comments? Heck no, I don't. Because the Cowboys, we look at them as probably America's biggest joke. They have not won a Super Bowl or made an NFC Championship appearance in 28 years and counting. Which Michael Parsons said years prior, when he was a rookie, that this team is going all in. Well, you didn't go all in 2022. You didn't go all in 2023. And you didn't go all in 2024. The fact is, this team is just so sucky right now. They're trash. I mean, their defense gave up 48 points to the youngest receiver core in the NFL. And Micah Parsons is going to come out and say this after 2 weeks of just getting embarrassed by the Packers. He should stay in hibernation until summer, if I'm being honest. He should stay in the hibernation until summer. If it was Jerry Jones saying this, that would be fine. But the fact that Micah Parsons said this, unacceptable, my man. And I think the Cowboys are going to once again choke in the playoffs next year. But let me go back to that live chat. So, and finally then, pick which of these guys will catch a TD. Kittle, Debo, or Ayuk? Oh man, that is actually a good bet right there. Let me think here for a minute. I would probably have to say Brandon Ayuk, just because he was there for their guy in the last game when he had that amazing catch, which personally I was in disbelief of that play, and it kind of made me have a reaction like this. If you don't know what that sound is, it's that he did what play. Pretty much it was like that. But anyways, I believe Ayuk is really good, but I don't see them winning against the Kansas City Chiefs just because of the Chiefs have more experience. Chiefs have been to 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, and the Niners have only been to 2. And this is Purdy's first Super Bowl appearance, which I think that's going to be a struggle for him, me personally. But now I'm going to shift things over to my team that I'm repping right now, the Seahawks. After finally having a head coach situation resolved again for the head coaching job, Mike Macdonald is set to be the next head coach, which according to ESPN analysts, he is said to have some similar comparisons to Sean McVay, which, I mean, that's pretty good. But the question is, what does this mean for the Seahawks and what could they do better? Oh man, I'm still excited about this hire because Mike Macdonald, many people forget this, he's 2-0 against the Rams and the Niners, with both of those 2 wins combined over him. And they entirely swept the NFC West on the Ravens because he had the number 1 scoring defense in the National Football League before eventually getting beat by Kansas City. Which I believe if the Ravens would have made it to the Super Bowl, the Seahawks would have waited for him to get that opportunity in there. So, I mean, this is probably a big win for the Seahawks because you look at the defense. You look at their defense. They are just so talented. You got Witherspoon and also along with Woolen. And it's just so incredible on what this unit has. And Mike Macdonald, he revived Patrick Queen's career and Justin Madubuike, who are going to be 2 free agents. Maybe the Seahawks might land them. You never know. But also, he helped turn Kyle Hamilton from a star into a superstar this year. And the fact that he's going to probably the youngest defense in the National Football League is incredible on what this guy can do. He's the best defensive mind at the position. And, I mean, I still believe the personal thing is the offense. But this is probably the best chance that the Seahawks are going to have with rebuilding their defense into the Legion of Boom type of form. Which I believe, if they can find an offensive coordinator like Eric Bieniemy, this offense would become unstoppable, along with the defense. Because I'm just so hyped on this hire that I think if they can get the right weapons around them, they could be a legit threat to San Francisco next season. But now to finish us all off, or actually I'm going to do one more after this. The Green Bay Packers, Tom Brozzi's team. So the Packers had a surprising season, which loads of people wrote them off, including myself. And then they made the playoffs, which Cowboy fans were saying all week, the bad man's gone and can't hurt us. And then they absolutely stopped the Cowboys and then got beat in a close matchup against the Niners, which, I mean, that could have gone either way on how that went. But the question is, are the Packers an NFC contender in next season? I believe they can. Because the Packers are a legit threat. We look at this team. Jordan Love lured right behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. And now look what he's doing. Looking just like Aaron Rodgers. Looking like the new bad man in Green Bay Nation. Which this is one of the best things that I have seen in this team. You got a defense that now just fired their defensive coordinator Joe Barry, which I know Tom Grossy's been wanting for a while. And you also got a young offensive group who are just firing on all cylinders. I don't know what receivers they're going to go after in this upcoming draft, or if they're going to go after any at all. But this team is going to be a legit threat going into the next season. But pretty much that wraps it up. That pretty much wraps up what I've been talking about. So if you guys did enjoy this 40-minute live stream, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on the notification bell for daily updates on my videos and live streams. I will be doing a live play-by-play of the Super Bowl. So if you guys want to watch in and tune in during the Super Bowl to listen to my play calling experience, please be sure to watch the live stream play-by-play. But until then, I'll have a link posted here in a few days. But until then, I'll see you all in the next one. So long for now.